So, you guys seen I was working on a camera car. Now, I had wanted to put the gimbal on it, or stabilizer, but it would just be way too top heavy. But the stabilization built into this Osmo action camera is pretty good, and we're gonna check out how it turned out. I was playing with some camera settings, so we're all gonna see this together. So hopefully it turned out good. Now I was able to use the DJI app with my phone on the controller, and that allows me to see somewhat of what's going on, but it's delayed by a couple of milliseconds. So by the time you try to avoid a crash, you're gonna crash. So really just keep an eye on the car itself, because it's not going to be that far away from you. Keep an eye on the car itself, and then just glance at your phone to see what kind of shots you're getting. You're not going to get real good shots with a little tiny car like this, but you're going to get some pretty good shots. It's going to be right up there with some drone footage. Only difference is it's going to be on the ground. Now, let's talk about this car and how I built it. This is a 4x4 stadium truck. It's a cheaper one. It is not a Traxxas. I do have a couple of Traxxas ones, but this one is built far better. This is an ECX, and in my opinion, they're built far, far better than the Traxxases. These have always held up a lot more than the Traxxas little cars have. And now I'm not saying Traxxas is bad by any means, because I do love Traxxas cars. But when it comes to these small cheapy ones, Traxxas just, their parts break. That's a whole different topic. Now, one thing I gotta mention is you're gonna see some wiring in the videos. All this wiring is for testing purposes only. I'm still using the 6-cell nickel metal hydride pack that's in here, and you get about 10 minutes of runtime with it, but with the extra weight, it's a little less than that, plus the pack's older. So what I'm doing with that is I'm going to be modifying this battery pack, and we're going to be putting 18650 cells in there. We're going to be doing 4. So we're going to be doing series in parallel, and maybe I'll update you guys on how I did that. But I have everything coming and be here Monday, and we're going to use some recycled 18650 cells that I am going to get out of a drill battery pack that I have here. I believe there's 6 cells in them packs. I do have a charger coming, so we're going to be doing that. So the battery life should be a lot. Like, I should be able to get like almost an hour out of that, and that, which is fine, because I'll get about an hour out of the DJI Osmo cam. Now, I'm gonna have to make my own mounts for this camera. I'll probably be able to keep this, but I'm gonna have to make one straight piece, because if it's up here, it's way too top heavy in it, and it wants to roll on 2 wheels. It don't quite flip, but it goes on 2 wheels. But I put it down here. This is like a pretty good view also, and it's down low. Now with them heavier batteries, because they're going to be heavier than this one, that's also going to lower my center of gravity, which will help. Now this car is not the factory stance. It's actually about 1.5 inches wider than it normally would, because I put different rims and tires on here. I have a whole collection of these things in different wheels. These are Traxxas Latrax wheels. They're off of a Latrax, and even though the Latrax is narrower than this one's wider. Plus, when you add these wheels, which is what gives the Latrax its width, then you gain extra width, and that, I think it's going to handle pretty good. I also had to stiffen up the suspension because it was too soft, and because I'm not racing this car, it's simply just going to be a camera car, so I can get all the best YouTube footage that I can. I'm really trying to step up my game, and I think this is awesome. Nobody else is really doing it, not any YouTubers that I know of, so this is definitely going to be awesome. I'm not going to put a battery on here, or I'm not going to put a body on here. It's just going to be plain Jane. What you see is what you get. it's a production car basically for camera footage. So all I did to stiffen the springs, which is not how you would actually do it when you're racing these cars or even professionally bashing these cars, you'd want different spring rates, and well, heck, you'd actually want different kind of shocks, because these are stock shocks. These are oil-filled shocks. That's another thing. The Traxxas shocks are not oil-filled, so these are half-decent shocks. All I did was stretch the spring just a tad, just to make it more stiffer, and then I changed some adjustments here, and it seems to handle the weight of the camera very well. The only thing is, I'm going to have to readjust the front because it sits up a little bit, but actually that's probably not a bad thing. It's going to hit the bumps and take the bumps a little better, but it was handling very well. I do have to get it dialed in because it wants to either veer left or veer right. Now, that's probably in the servo. This has a weak servo, and we added quite a bit of weight to it. So that's probably why there. But I do have some Traxxas servos, which I'm not a fan of. But they are stronger than these. However, with the Traxxas servo, I should be able to take this spring-loaded arm here and put on the Traxxas servo, which will save the gears in the Traxxas servo, because that's the bad thing that goes out in the Traxxas servos. But you can get metal gears for them Traxxas servos. So there's a whole different line of RC things that you can do for the hobby. But I'm not doing this for a hobby anymore. I used to be real big in the RC cars, but I'm doing it just simply so I can get some good camera footage. I wanted to get more footage, but this battery just keeps dying on me, so I gotta wait till Monday whenever I'm able to get 18650 cells and get those in there and see what kind of battery life that we can get with this car. And I'm gonna figure out a way to help mount this camera, because it wants to flip backwards and move and stuff like that. I just can't get these tight enough, but for the most part it's fine. It's fine until I go hammered on the gas, but we got to do that for testing purposes, because when we're out in the trails trying to keep up with a side-by-side, and yes, I will be able to keep up with your side-by-side with this little car. I don't care where you go. So when I'm out there trying to keep up with side-by-sides and trying to keep from getting run over, it's going to be bumpy and stuff like that. So we're going to have to do something with the camera to keep it put in this position. I really like this position on camera from what I could see on my phone. We got to check it out on the computer still, which you're about to see here in a minute. Without further ado, let's get into the RC footage and see just how it turned out. And I'm definitely going to have to get better at this and get better at driving this little car. These little cars are hard to drive. I should get a 1/10 scale, but I really just don't have the money to put into an RC car to do this, to use a couple times a year. It's just not practical, but hey, you know, maybe if I can find some free somewhere, I can put them together. That'll be that, but this will do for now. Now that we watched that, guys, you let me know what you think down in the comments section below. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out and God bless.